hope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shiver through an episode.
Ubomvu la ngenzansi.
Never.
Oh,
Nicodemus.
Ziyashana.
Bro.
Take us in. Usher us into the promised land.
Usher us into the promised land.
Yes.
Back.
Beneath the Underdog, episode 3.
Boo, 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 boo.
Gentlemen, good to be back.
Wonderful. Nice to see you guys again. It's been
Like
a
we,
while, eh?
like we never left.
I haven't seen you in a while, bro. How have you been?
I realized I was packing my stuff for this episode in a hurry, and I realized when I got here that shit, I was wearing this hoodie in the last episode. I was like, let me throw on a cap. Just to
Change
make
it up.
look a bit different.
Yeah, no, it's been a whole 2 weeks, bro. So don't worry about it. People are not looking out for that stuff. But
if you are paying attention to our outfits, please don't do that.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all we're about. That's none of
thought there
your
was more.
business.
I thought there was more. There isn't. Just don't do it.
Just don't do it. So, episode 3, gentlemen. Building a psychology of delayed gratification.
Sure.
Yes.
It's a long one.
Yeah.
Which I think is very important to, especially to young entrepreneurs. I think we have that misconception that even working hard, even if it is for a short amount of time, guarantees success.
Sure.
Sure. Which I think isn't true. Just going back to a quote that Sam showed me actually last week, kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm about to say is, no matter how much you suffer, what is that quote again?
Yo, you can't just say no matter how much you
No,
suffer.
it was like no matter how
Just
much you
paraphrase,
suffer.
bro.
Yeah.
What was it? You the one who showed me this quote.
Yeah, no matter how
Paraphrase,
much you
bro.
suffer. Yeah,
No, it was
you
like
win
no matter how
eventually.
much you suffer. Basically,
Yeah.
what I was trying to say is that you can work hard for.
Oh,
Yeah, you remember it now.
Pick it up, Sam.
Yes.
Yes, direct quote this time with inverted commas. The
Do I
exact
remember the
thing.
direct quote?
No, it's okay.
but it's on some. Just because you suffer doesn't mean you deserve the reward. Something.
Something like that. So
Yeah,
basically,
along
what I
those
was trying to
lines,
say
yeah.
is that there is no amount of time of your hard work which guarantees you any success.
Okay.
You could literally work hard for 5 years and see no reward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the mindset we have to go into with whatever we do, is that we will not see results overnight.
Sharp.
Some of us maybe will be blessed that we do.
Yeah.
But literally that is the mindset. These things take time. Hence the delayed gratification. Even when things are going well, kind of dial down.
Sharp.
Sound head always. So I think that goes into subtopic number one, money management. And I think I'd like to start.
Sharp. Yeah. Take us through that one,
Because, this is a big one, even for me, because I am my father's son when it comes to money management.
bro. What does that mean? For people
I
who
am
don't
one
know
of
your
the
father
worst.
and you as his son.
Worst people
Yeah.
when it comes to money management. Like, the problem is always have more.
Yeah.
And I think that is a very bad solution.
Or
to
you think
have.
rather that's the solution that
That's the solution. I mean, that is my solution.
Sure.
Is to have more.
Have more as a result of the fact that you spend more.
Sometimes it doesn't even come down to spending on like making like big purchases or it's not about that. I think budgeting, sometimes timing your purchases as well, because you find that maybe you don't need this thing that you're buying this month just because you have the money to buy it. It's something that you'll only need 2-3 months from now.
Sure.
And the fact that you purchased that thing, you're taking away from some opportunity cost to whatever decision that you make. For me, purchasing this thing now, maybe next month now is when I'll feel actually
the
I could have
pain.
saved that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So money management's definitely a very, very vital thing. I think it just comes down to knowing finances, knowing when you'll need things, budgeting.
Yeah.
Because the more money you have, they really are right when they say more money, more problems.
More money, more problems, bro.
More
That is a
money.
real thing.
Because you find that you go through challenges that you never would have gone through when you don't have as much money.
You know,
Problems fine.
because honestly speaking, I recall this perfectly when I had discussed with my mother. So I go through, I plan this thing, I open my first company. I'm like, Ma, if I can make 5,000 rands a month, Ma, I'll be Gucci. I'll be okay. 5,000 rand came through, I had 20,000 rand problems. So that's forever the game you're going to have to play. But financial acumen is definitely something you need to have from the jump, because it enables you to navigate that space of gratification easily. You understand? Because what we mean by gratification is reaping the benefits, right? That's that you need to be able to put a delay on reaping the benefits of being financially successful. You understand?
When necessary.
So then you need to be able to understand money as a tool, as opposed to when I get paid, it's the biggest day, I'm rewarded. No. You have just now been equipped with one more spade to dig more holes, So instant gratification is probably the biggest killer as far as I'm concerned, as far as young businesses
But
are
then
concerned as well.
one thing, I won't lie, has helped. Me and Sam put a budget to this. With whatever amount that we're going to get. It's not always putting a back burner on that, that gratification, but it's like we'll allocate a very small amount to, okay, bro, we're going to spend this.
Yeah.
And it's going to be guilt-free.
Sure.
Even if it's literally like 2 to 5%. But you get that small little, whatever it is, out the system.
Sure.
So that it's not that next thing, it's 50% of your invoice is going down the drain. Literally that small percentage, which is like, we went out, you did that, whatever, or you bought that, whatever you wanted, but let's just get it out the system and carry on.
Yeah. And I think I'll probably speak for Siyanda now when I say we're probably far from financial consultants, just because NK probably spent more time in the financial space.
Sure.
But I don't think this topic of money management is to say that you should spend your money like A, B, C. Because I firmly believe that nobody should tell anyone else how to spend their money. But I think it's important to have some sort of structure to your cash flows and your revenues, because when you're looking at it in a business sense, or when you're looking at your business, money in doesn't equal money out. You almost want to try not spend all your money, because you need that for further investments into the business and things like that. So I think understanding your revenues in that sense, when we say money management, it's breaking down the money coming in, your revenues. Like NK said, have that small allowance for, those purchases just to get it out of the system,
You work hard, man.
Soft,
just to take it out the system.
Sure.
But as long as you have awareness that you budget for it beforehand, and it's not a thing of at that time you think, Vodka perfume would be nice. Next thing you spiral. So just putting a structure to your finances, because that is very necessary in a business, because there's unforeseen expenses that always pop up. There's fixed expenses.
Sure.
The capital sort of structure of any business is so complicated. So you need to have that front of mind, I think.
Okay, gents. I mean, I think for me right now, I am wanting to understand more what gratification means at this table.
Yeah.
Because we're now saying, listen, so you're saying to me you're not gratified by that something. What is that bigger thing that is that delayed gratification? You understand? Is
That-
it your,
that-
your,
that-
your dreams?
No, that is a form of gratification. Taking a small amount
Sure.
definitely is a form of
Sure.
gratification.
Sharp. We
But I
haven't
think
delayed, though, in that
you-
sense.
You are delaying it to a point because, like
could
we
have a
said,
Ferrari.
it's a 2 to 5% of whatever your 2 to 5%
Okay,
is.
sharp. You could have more. You could very well have
you
more.
could have more. I think it's that it's coming from a point where you know you could do a lot more.
Sure.
But in the long run, that could hinder your success.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not spending as if you don't have to think about tomorrow.
Okay.
It's a calculated 2 to 5% or whatever your percentage is of I've worked hard. I'm patting myself on the back, but I'm not done yet. I still have more work to do.
So the delay is in the scale of the gratification.
Yeah, bro.
That's what we're
For
saying.
me,
It's not
personally.
necessarily a temporal thing where there's time to it. Where you're saying, no, me, I'm delaying this for 5 years. Because in 5 years, I'll be worthy of that watch or I'll be worthy of... It's a thing of, no, let's scale the gratification down.
Yeah.
So that's, in essence, how we're delaying
Yeah.
the gratification, right?
Yeah, just because I think that there's always going to be an imbalance between the things you want and the things you may be able to afford. I think obviously when you go into any sort of venture to make money, there are certain material things that you want to buy with that money.
Sure.
And that list is endless. If you think you have a finite list of 5 things, trust me, it's gonna grow.
Sure.
the more you accumulate.
And for yourself as well. And for your family.
Yeah. So I think obviously this idea of delayed gratification is almost putting yourself in a position where you take a bite-sized approach to accumulating these material things based on what the revenue is currently saying now. Because if you can implement that, obviously what you can afford is going to grow in time because that's the goal.
Sure.
But the reverse might happen if you get too excited too quickly, and you might not be able to see that through to the
Like we
big
said,
goals.
those little chunks, you find that over time,
They
that
make
gets-
for a great life.
they, they get bigger and bigger.
Sure.
So where now we're saying, let me get that sneaker, let me get that.
Yeah.
In 3 years' time, your little splurge can be.
Hey, your gratification can be,
Can be
yeah,
something a lot-
vroom, vroom.
It can be something a lot bigger.
Sharp.
So like Sam was saying, it's just bite-sized chunks.
Okay.
I think it's a bit tricky though, because one thing I've always believed with this type of topic is that it's such a personal thing. Someone has to go through it to understand it fully.
Yeah.
It's hard to say to someone, no, stop, don't buy that thing,
Sharp.
because you need to save and you need to learn these lessons.
Yeah.
Someone who has never had that thing
Sharp.
is gonna think,
Sharp.
but dog, me, I want this
Hey,
thing.
hey.
They're not, you can't fully understand the ramifications of something until you actually in that position. So you'll find it's all good and well saying this, but in reality, it might take you making that mistake of overextending and
Sharp.
buying that thing unnecessarily to
realize.
realize that I actually couldn't afford that this month,
Sharp.
or whatever this thing I financed is putting me more in debt.
Yeah.
And that's the lesson that now puts you on track to creating the psychology.
Because how it works for me personally, in my own capacity, is that I've always had this thing of, in light of the greater goal that I have in my head, I will look at something and assess it in the sense that, am I deserving of this now? In light of the fact that we're going to be much bigger boys later, is it really worth it to do this now? So let me put it this way. Is it worth me having a good time now buying, I don't want to use this example. I want to find something else because people may get offended. But, let's go for it. So, for instance, I would not buy a GTI now knowing I can have an SVR later. Understand?
I hear you, but you don't have to jump all the way to SVR. bro.
No. In light of my own goals, you understand? Because I know, Guti, eventually I want to get to that point. I'm not gonna settle for. So in as much as it's a bite size, yes, let's get that now. I'm not saying I can afford a GTI cash or something like that. Please, I'm just saying, looking at things, yes, you could get it now, but in light of the bigger picture, is it really worth it? looking at the finances involved as well. You're going to have to go and finance this thing. There's a 54-month payment plan involved, all of those things. You understand? What position does it put me in light of the greater scheme, you know?
But I mean, what if the GTI is the goal now and you still want the SVR?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying in my personal capacity, bro.
I hear you.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm fighting for that car, but I'm just using an example.
Yeah.
I mean, that's accessible to most people. Uguti, it's an idea. It's a thing of scale too. How do you sort of delay or reduce the scale according to your own scale? You understand? Because Njengobu could very well be someone else's goal, but in light of the things that I want.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying, this is a very personal thing, you know. But yeah, in most cases, I feel like to be successful and to see a goal come to fruition, there must be an element of sacrifice that comes through on your part as the business owner. You know, I can't speak for all the other individuals, but you need to be the one where you make those sacrificial financial decisions that may not put you in the position you want to be at present, but in light of what things could be in the future, then let's make that sacrifice. You know, I hate using the word sacrifice, but for lack of a better term,
it gives a negative
whatever
you're speaking
about.
You know? And the sacrifice doesn't always have to be negative, because you'll find most of the time that's what almost creates the thing that you're giving up.
It's like this negative connotation, but it has positive
benefits.
Like
type of
benefit.
thing. Yeah,
Like,
it's weird. But yeah, I think just to go back, implementing structure to your money is crucial to controlling expenditure, because when you don't control your budget, you don't forecast, it's hard to keep track. And you can start spending unnecessarily. So yeah, but I think another important aspect that almost reinforces the psychology, because when we speak about psychology, it's very much speaking to a mental framework that you've built.
Sure.
And I think we're going as deep as saying, when you look at a business, your business, you have to look at it as a separate entity from yourself. We grew up in a situation where the business and the personal finances were very much seen as one
thing.
You know, there was drawings from the business when you needed to cater for personal expenses. I mean, the time it did give himself a salary, but as and when he pleased, take out of the business and pay for ABC, swipe at restaurants. So you almost have to separate your personal finances from the business finances to be able to account accurately and build the discipline and the habits needed to reinforce this idea of delayed gratification. No?
So just speaking onto that, it's like, okay, you have this business, which is its own entity. Then you have the business owner. Excuse me. So obviously, you know, you do as much as you can for the success of your business. But the way that I look at it, if you're spending business money, your business, the health of your business goes down based on how much you're bleeding it dry. But the business owner himself is doing
flourishing.
You're flourishing.
Living lavish.
So I think, for me, that's the way I choose to look at it at times. It's, of course, I want to flourish, but your business on its own should be flourishing. And the byproduct of your business flourishing is you flourishing.
Should be you flourishing.
So it can never be I flourish, the
And
business
then,
fails. So
because the business pays you.
the business pays you.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that's the way I choose to look at it, is that always make sure that that entity does even better than you do. Because in the long run, it's what will carry you and so many more others.
I mean, for me, it feels so good to say my business has X amount of whatever, as opposed to myself, you know.
That's actually what I wanted to ask you
always
earlier
refer to
on
myself
was-
as I'm employed. You know?
Yeah.
Knowing very well ukuthi I'm the business owner, but I always reserve that position for myself as an employee to my own business, you know. Because it's greater than me. It's a lot more than me. It holds its own account. It exists in its own capacity, you know. So if you understand it that way, it's very, very important, you know. And you get from a point of growth, it will assist you very, very much to have that isolation from the business, you know, that separation. And as you said, it's so much nicer to have that do a lot better than you. If your business is doing a lot better than you, bro, damn, you know. So the onus is on us to try and do a lot more for the business as well.
Yeah.
Not to say you mustn't focus on yourself. I mean, you do have needs yourself, but put that nigga before you, bro.
Always.
The front runner all the time. It tells you what to do, you know?
Always.
Yeah.
Just think of the word entity. You're describing a separate thing.
Sure.
It's an entity. What is an entity?
Sharp. It exists in its own capacity, bro. It can die alone and you live. You can die, it can live, you know?
You almost need to afford it that respect. And I think it becomes easier then, in a sense, to once you actually understand that this is its own thing, this is not me, you almost start to act in the best interest of the business.
Yeah.
Because when there's that imbalance and now the company's bleeding because of you, it's very much...
You're out of a job, bro.
Yeah, you're not...
You're unemployed. Seriously. I always look at it that way. If my business fails, I am out of a job, bro. I can't pay for anything because nobody's paying me, you know?
But then now... So these are all very wild topics, but how do you now start to program yourself to position yourself for scale and to view companies as, you know, separate entities?
Sure.
How do we start to program ourselves to separate ourselves from these businesses so that they can operate within their own capacity and essentially scale? Because I think the purpose... We can speak about delayed gratification, but we have to understand the purpose of it. The purpose of delayed gratification is so that you can reduce the time it takes to scale, almost. You know, and so far as you don't, you know, that time's going to be much longer, which is why it's very much up to you in terms of how quickly your company grows, because the more you reinvest in that, the quicker it grows.
Sure.
So what we're discussing, I think, is how do we program ourselves to be in a position of scale.
Sure.
You know, we're thinking bigger than ourselves. We're thinking bigger than, you know, the day-to-day, the invoice that hasn't been paid, the stock that's run out. How do we get into those mindsets?
For me, I can honestly say that programming was not voluntary. My pops would say there's no money even when there's money. Like you'd see ding ding SMS, you just got paid. Hey, Malaiko. Hey. So, I mean... with love, obviously, but I mean, it sort of made me look at these things in a different way, you know, where it was normal for my father to say he doesn't have money, knowing very well that the business does, you know. So that put me in a mindset of, okay, these are two separate things then. And as much as it was a bit sometimes, yo, dog, I know you got money, you just got paid, you know. But the lesson that I then took from that is that, okay, he's treating these two things as separate things, you know. In as much as, it could have been a nice time at some point because, we got paid. But I think maybe I would hope that on his side it was also in a point to make me understand it in that sense. Yeah. You know, so the programming for me was not voluntary. But it has very much assisted me in my own dealings, you know, in the recent past, as well as moving forward into the future. I do still maintain, Uti, my business and I are two separate entities, and I could very well be broken. My business have money in light of the plans that I see for my business. You know? So, the programming, you could very well do it yourself. I was fortunate enough to have it shoved down my throat, though.
Yeah, I think... Personally, for me, it's crazy how a lot of my business programming, or even, I would say this is business programming in a sense, came from trading, like years in the markets. Yeah, I can't even tell you the lessons that I've learned, that we've learned in the past 6 years.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this one, self-programming to position yourself to scale specifically, it was like, do you know when you're on social media, you see that trading is meant to be this thing of luxury.
Glory. We're living nice.
You know, if you're a trader, you know, you just that
Living the
you just
millionaire
Yeah.
lifestyle.
living the
Yeah.
millionaire
Yeah.
lifestyle, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and
And from the outside looking in, that's still how I feel, bro. Yeah, I'm not lying, you know. I feel like there are no bad days for those chaps. Plug in your
you
computer
play
and make some money.
games, bro.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a skill that you have to learn, and it takes time. There's maybe someone took them 3-6 months.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different
That's their
strokes,
journey.
bro.
that's your journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on average, it takes the really good traders 10 years. And when you realize the time, and then once you learn the skill, you can learn the skill, but the mental resolve that you have to have, it's like you learn this patience.
Okay.
For me, it's still I'm not a patient person. And it's a concept where trading has just bashed it into me, is that you have to be patient. And, you know, no other industry, property, logistics has not taught me that.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of my programming comes in, is that I've learned that you have to be patient. Once being patient, you know, you trade within this bracket where it's like, I'm going to make this certain amount of money every week.
Sharp.
And at some point, you have to take the risk upon yourself to be like, you know what, I want to level up now.
Yeah.
It's time for me, you know, I should be making a bigger amount. And I think that's where the scale comes in. It's like every few months or even years for some people, it's you have to now level up within yourself to be like, you know what, I need to take on a bigger appetite. I
Sure.
need to,
For
you
this
know,
thing to
I
still
need
feel worthwhile.
to still feel
Sharp.
worthwhile, I need to do more now. I need to, you know, and the more risk that you take, it's like, they say that, you know, you should have no emotions,
Yeah.
whether you win or you lose.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter, but
Yeah.
there's no way, my way.
I think
You can feel it.
You feel it.
I'm glad you actually made the reference to trading, just because I think that actually made me think a lot about this whole self-programming for scale. Because I think just with trading, and I'll compare it to construction in a second, is that with trading, what I'm learning now is that, or at least over the past year, is that your risk has to stay consistent. We often get clouded by smaller trading accounts into risking more for more reward, obviously, so that we can scale up quicker. Because obviously the higher your risk, the higher your reward. And then we lie to ourselves and say, okay, no, but once I have a £10,000 account, then I'll reduce my risk to 1%.
Your
But it doesn't
appetite.
work like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
think about
Your appetite
trading
comes
one
into
way
play.
for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
In the 5th year, you're not going to automatically switch and start, you know, risking less because you're not used to that. So now, if I flip that into construction, for me, it's almost about doing each detailed thing to the best of your ability in terms of compliance, in terms of your intention. On site, are you skipping health and safety protocols just because you are, you know, excavating a trench only? That's your only scope of works. Are you skipping certain construction methods because the supervisor is for, you know, maybe you subcontracting and the supervisor for the main contractor is not there, so you find you can skip steps. All these small things that you can do to the best of your ability as an emerging contractor, do them because that over time is going to compound. You're not going to eventually, after 15 years, become this big entity that all of a sudden sets their book straight. You're going to become a shoddy contractor. And
With 15 years experience.
Sure.
That's literally all that's going to happen. So whatever you program to yourself at an early age, that's going to carry out into, you know, that's going to carry out down the line.
Sure.
So it all starts with the day-to-day. What are you doing today to the best of your
Sharp.
ability? That's how you program yourself. don't think about how you're gonna operate when you're a big entity or when
Sure.
you're a big business.
Yeah,
It matters what
yeah.
you do now, the
Yeah,
small things. That's what programs you to think at scale.
And it's crazy how those small habits, like me and Sam were saying the other day, like for you to wake up every day and do something despite not seeing any results. But then it's like 3 months later, it's like, okay, we haven't reached that end goal yet, but we see more of a direction of where we're going. And then you find that at some point, like one day, you're still doing the same things that you do every day, all the small habits, the small, you know, but then you're just in a much better place.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't feel as different because you've been doing the same thing
Sharp.
every day,
Sharp.
day in, day out.
The momentum's just
Whether it was
building.
good, whether it was bad,
Yeah.
but you did those small things
Sharp.
that you needed to do.
You know, to just sort of take from the mentality that a lot of athletes share, you know, where you could train for 4 years for the Olympics alone, you understand? So the gratification comes at the Olympics. And the nice thing, the beautiful thing about it being, you could very well not win. You could be disqualified, you could get injured, you could, you know,
Yeah.
but still in the 4 years you'll train, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes more about the process as opposed to the actual goal. It becomes more about the
Process
journey.
versus outcome.
So as you said, the appreciation of the journey in itself will assist you in delaying that gratification. You know, you will then be a person who focuses less on that on the payment. Because for example, when you're speaking about shoddy guys
Yeah.
in construction, those guys, the primary focus is when can I put the invoice in.
Yeah.
That's what they're focused on. It's not necessarily the job. You
That's
understand?
true. That's
so if you're then coming into it as, oh no, I'm coming to do construction to the best of my ability. Whatever it is that I've been given to do, I'll do it to the best of my ability, and then we'll talk about invoice. That is one of the best attributes of the most successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Adopting that athlete's mindset, bro.
Yeah.
But,
Let's just work.
But we're not saying don't get your money's worth, though.
No.
That's not what I'm saying. Get your money's worth.
Sure,
The
sure.
financial benefit of business is definitely there, and it's definitely something you should strive
Sharp,
towards.
sharp.
But don't get caught up in achieving that alone.
Facts.
Because it's not all about that. That's, you know, the small business habits that you build up every day. That it's more of a byproduct of those. So, like we're saying, focus on the process. Outcome's gonna be there naturally. Naturally. So yeah.
So when you say focus on the process, I'm speaking more from a personal point of view
Sure.
now. Like obviously, you guys have businesses to run. Your process as an individual, is there like a morning, afternoon routine that you guys do day in, day out? And how does that help navigating the uncertainty of whatever shows up in your day? Because obviously I can say I want to wake up and I'm going to meditate, I'm going to do my...
Yeah.
But how does having a set routine and set habits help with the uncertainty that you face day in, day out?
I think for me, primarily with those things that you choose to do as rituals on a daily, it helps me, even though I do not get the result instantaneously, it helps me in the sense that I feel good because I showed up, you know? So if the ritual is wake up early every day and do something or plan your day or write a list, you could very well in that day have 2 items which really do not clamber. I have to take my mom to the airport or do something like that, you understand? And they don't directly contribute to your business, right? But the thing that I take away from that is that I showed up, you know? So in every day, my thing is wake up in the morning as early as possible, and that's pretty early. And
Like
just
3:30 early.
yeah, and outline your day, regardless of whether it contributes to your bank balance, bro. But you just showed up. You showed up to your own to-do list, which is probably the best thing I could do at this point.
That is true. I mean, obviously, I feel like I'm grounded in my morning and evening routines. And I think as much as you can never anticipate what the day's going to be like or what's going to get thrown at you, the rituals, for me at least, keep me grounded in a sense where I feel like I have the best chance of navigating whatever's going to come should I get through my morning mobility, breathing, meditation, whatever, water.
Because you put yourself in that frame of mind.
I put myself in the best possible frame of mind as opposed to wake up, I see I have a missed call from someone on site, because I've woken up late.
Yeah.
And then I'm already in a frenzy. I don't know where anything is. I feel like I put myself in the best frame of mind to deal with whatever's going to come my way that day. So yeah, I mean, that's really it. I feel like morning and evening routines, they really only have as much importance or relevance as you'd like them to. So it's very personal. It's not to say that you need to have one to deal with the day.
Sure.
It could be a quick thing, wake up 5 minutes, sit for 60 seconds, breathing, and you're done. That's your morning routine. It doesn't have to be something over an hour, but I think just something to balance you and get you in a clear state of mind. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think now just going back into obviously money management and so on, why would you gents think that reinvesting early into your business is crucial?
I think I actually touched on this a bit as to why it's crucial, and I'll reiterate. It's honestly, you're just trying to shorten, I don't know, for anyone, I feel like I speak for a large number of people where you say you want to see your business grow as quickly as possible. Nobody's going to sit and say, I don't want my business to grow.
Funny enough, I found myself in that position where I had not anticipated the growth, but the growth came through and smacked me at the back of my head.
No, not that you hadn't anticipated the growth. I think you didn't anticipate the rate of growth.
Okay.
So maybe you grew
Yeah.
too quickly.
Oh,
too much.
You grow a lot quicker than you expected.
Yeah.
So you always want progression, just because I think naturally that's why we wake up every day and go do whatever, just because we want to see improvement in certain areas of our life. So I think it just goes without saying that you want to see your business, or if it's a hobby that's making you money, you want to see that grow. So when you introduce this idea of reinvesting, you shorten that time, which is essentially why it's so crucial, because reinvesting almost allows you to control the rate at which you see your idea scale. And
So-
that's
And
essentially what we're trying to get at.
reinvesting is feeding into the health of your business over your personal.
Okay. So I mean, just to clarify, by reinvesting, we're not necessarily speaking to the notion of taking. Okay, I have an X amount of money, let me put it back into the business. It could be also, I mean, broadening your horizons in the sense of what do you know, what have you seen. You could probably go back to school and learn a bit more. Is reinvesting really just about me putting more money into my business, or are there any other things that you guys feel you could do to sort of reinvest in
think
your
it's
business?
just, obviously when you talk about reinvesting, the top thing that comes to mind is the financial.
Sure.
But like you're saying, the acquiring of knowledge could also be reinvesting into your business.
Okay.
I think any action that adds value back into your business
Is
that
re-
contributes
is
to the
reinvesting,
growth
yeah.
is reinvesting.
Okay.
'Cause, like you said, you could reinvest by way of increasing your knowledge by a course or something. That's
Yeah.
reinvesting.
Yeah.
You've taken that it's financial means as well, but you've taken that money and instead of spending it on something material, now you've invested it into your knowledge, which is gonna, as a byproduct, further your business.
Yeah. Because for me, that has been probably the one thing that I've always been very, very keen on doing, especially at such a young age, is to just broaden my horizons as far as my understanding and my, going back to the first thing we had discussed, our financial acumen, you know. I really want to be able to understand my monies, bro, and how I could best use them, you know. I think when you have an understanding of money as a tool and the many and great things that you could do with it to make for a better business, you're then able to then take a step back and put a delay on all the bells and whistles that you could possibly get. Hence the delayed gratification.
And I think another thing I just wanted to touch on is that personally, this whole money management and having a financial acumen like you're talking about, I think as young entrepreneurs, we have to really make it a thing to involve the necessary professionals as soon as possible. And not, obviously, as soon as you can afford them. So take those decisions away from you, those financial decisions away from you, because you might think that you're in the position to make that big purchase, but give your books to someone else. Ask for advice. And I'm sure you they might show you something that you didn't see.
Sure.
So I think for me that's always going to be a goal sooner rather than later, is to take away that financial strain off from me, because the more it's on me, the worse.
Because it's all a bit too, just to go on what you were saying, it's all a bit too daunting for me as well, where I come from a probably more of a technical standpoint when it comes to business, where I understand the job itself and not so much the financial side of things, so now it's also becoming important to have those voices that speak to growth and tell you, it's okay, no, this is the best way to go about things. Because you're thinking from a technical standpoint, where you're thinking, okay, it could make sense to buy into Uguti.
Whereas be like, what, a grader would make my work.
You think about something like that, as opposed to maybe a financial advisor telling you to invest in another business that's in the same field as you are, to broaden your sort of your reach within the market. So that one is very, very important, to have those people who will then inform that delayed gratification, in the sense that, hey, something else could be done, something better than what you're thinking about could be done.
I think as well, and this doesn't speak so much to age. I know obviously we're all young and starting out businesses, but others start out businesses a bit later in life. But I think it speaks more to the age of your business, where when we ask why reinvesting earlier is crucial, is because I think the earlier on in your business's life cycle, the earlier on you are, the less responsibilities outside of that actual business you'll have. So earlier on, when you're just starting, you won't have as many maybe family responsibilities or friend-related responsibilities, who now see that your business is a source of dependency in a way. So that's almost a gap for you to reinvest as much as possible, because those types of things will come along with time. I think we've seen from our personal experience that when you have an established business, it comes with a lot more responsibilities over time. So I think you want to maximize, that period where you're relatively low in responsibilities to, see it grow as much as possible.
Okay, I mean that's an interesting way that you've now put it, because all along in my mind, I'm thinking primarily the age of the business, where you need to delay that gratification when your business is still young, but it's sort of more geared towards the younger people, where your age yourself, if you're still a young boy and you have less responsibilities, more energy.
I think the topic has been around that more. This was more on the business sense.
Okay, it's interesting. But I mean, the thing is, it's funny how in when you look at it from that perspective, it's the young people who want instant gratification. The older people tend to appreciate, things in that sense of, I know, intently alindwa or whatever, We're the ones who want, I want it to happen now,
No, but we never know, because I don't know how that 45-year-old was when he was 25. He could have been, you know, he could have been that guy who was doing the most, but life kind of showed him that, you know. So all we can do is kind of
try and plant it as early as possible.
Plant a seed as early as possible, as Usam is saying. Because, hey, I'd rather. Hey, you actually can't rather have it. If it's your way, if it's your time to learn your lesson the hard way.
Yeah, my man.
Like I said, it goes back to what I said earlier. These things are learned by experience. And you have to be conscious of what you're tolerating, because if you're not aware that you're constantly tolerating learning these hard lessons, you're gonna keep learning lessons the hard way.
The hard way.
You realize,
They call it the university of life.
Yeah.
You have to enroll. And at some point, you have to graduate.
At some point,
because if you're a student of the University of Life for too long, my man,
hard times for you.
Hard times always.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest part. Is it's just being aware, and if it's your time to experience something, a lesson, no matter how painful, learn it and move on.
But what do they say? What's it? First time something is a mistake, second time's a choice, something like that. I don't know, something whack like that. Kind of lost it. That makes sense.
But
gentlemen.
Sure, you're saying?
Oh, I was going to go into the nugget.
Okay.
Are we there?
Yeah, we're there.
Sharp.
Yeah.
We're there. We're at the nuggets.
The nugget of wisdom.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, just to put it out there as you know, for me, this thing of not necessarily delayed gratification, but always putting yourself in a position to wait makes the reward all the more better. You know, as I said to you guys, I made the example of there has been an instant where I was not prepared for the growth, and then the growth just whacked me, you know, out of nowhere. I think more than anything, it's because I had put myself in a position to wait. You know, so I told myself, it's gonna happen, yes, but I need to be able to wait. So if you live in that realm of, you know what, wait for it, bro. You know, it makes it so much better when it happens in a time frame that you deem as quick or instantaneous. You know, because you had calmed down. All your things are low, bro. You're just like, nah, I'm waiting for this thing, and then boom, it happens. You know. For some people, it may be incorrect in the sense that maybe the opportunity will then present itself without them being prepared, you know, as a result of thinking it's not going to come, and then it comes. But obviously for me, I always try and keep myself prepared, but I always tell myself, no, wait. I don't put a time frame to it. I would never say wait 5 years. But day to day, be the man who says, let's wait for it, you know. It makes this delayed gratification thing so much more easier. It makes life so much more easier, you know. For you to not have that mentality of, no, it must happen today. Let me just wait. Don't put a time frame to it, though, because that's the thing that kills you. If you say 5 years, it'll be 5 years. Just say, let's just wait for it, you know. So I think for me, my nugget is that if you just put yourself in a position to wait for good things, bro, it will be okay. Not just in the business sense of things, but in life in general. It will be a very, very, you know, helpful tool in trying to, you know, see your goals come to, you know, reality. And as usual, don't forget your ABCs all the way up to G. You guys must learn how to say this with me now. Always be chasing down every
fucking gap.
Thank you.
I was legit gonna mess it up. I don't know why. Like, my mind just every fucking gap.
Thank you. Thank you.
So can I add my nugget?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I think for me, my nuggets would be your business must always do better than you do. And if it always does better than you do, at some point it will take care of not only you but
generations to come.
Everyone after you. So I think that's the biggest one for me, is that I hear a lot of people especially saying that, you know, I am my business, and, you know, I've got to have that nice car because I go to that meeting and I've got to see and I've got to, yes, we can do all those things, but like we said, in moderation.
Yeah.
It must never bleed the business dry.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the hardest thing. Like you're saying, also just wait. I think it's hard sometimes when things are going well. You always want to, you know, splurge a bit more, but
Yeah.
always put your business first, and you know you can never go wrong with that.
Sharp.
Yeah, fully. Yeah, gentlemen, I think for me, my nugget would be always learn from your mistakes, because I think we've established that with this topic, it's not something that you can just read on a piece of paper or listen to in a podcast and you understand it.
Yeah.
This is very much a practical lesson where you obviously have to be aware of the lesson, but only once you experience that mistake can you correct and you know, implement that self-correction and now, you know, be on a better path.
Sure.
So I can't tell you how to spend your money. NK can't tell you how to spend your money. You know, your parents, your partner, nobody can tell you how
But
to
if you're
spend your
spending it, please call me, and we'll spend it together.
money. I'm dead.
Put his number there at the bottom of the screen.
Literally, nobody can tell you how to spend your money. So you have to have that own self-awareness to learn from every single lesson so that you can build the psychology of delayed gratification. It's not something that's learned. You have to actively build it. So, yeah.
Danzo.
That's episode 3.
Yeah.
Envelope.